It's time for Recipe of the Day. I did not encounter sweet potato casserole as a kid because it's not something that we really eat in Canada. So I didn't have it for the first time until I was an adult who had moved to Florida. And then I was quite surprised by this orange marshmallow top dish that was alongside the turkey at Thanksgiving. Having said that, I ended up really liking it and I really enjoy having it as part of my Thanksgiving meal. However, it is not one of my most favorite things. My favorite things are the turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, and the stuffing. I love the stuffing. And so I don't like my sweet potato casserole to be particularly heavy. I want it to be a slightly lighter vegetable dish so that I can get all of my richness from all those other favorite foods on my plate. To that end, I have come up with a lightened up version of sweet potato casserole that is just as creamy and delicious as the classic, but just not quite as fattening or as sweet. The way that I do that is I use low-fat vanilla yogurt instead of the butter and the cream. You get the creaminess, you get some sweetness, but much, much lighter. Okay, let me tell you how I make this sweet potato casserole. You start with 3 pounds of sweet potatoes that you then peel and cut into 3/4-inch cubes. Put those sweet potato cubes into a medium-sized saucepan with just enough water to cover them, and then bring it to a boil over high heat, and then reduce it down to a simmer until the sweet potato cubes are fork tender. It's going to be about 5 to 7 minutes. While that is happening, you're going to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and you want to grease a casserole dish, about 2.5 quart size casserole dish. You can use a cooking spray or like some butter or margarine rubbed around there. Olive oil would work too, anything like that. And I will say that I am giving instructions now, assuming that you are assembling this casserole and then baking it right away. But this is actually a great make-ahead dish. What you would do is you would get it assembled into the casserole dish without the topping, and then cover it and refrigerate it until about half an hour before you want to bake it, and then take it out of the fridge so that it comes up to room temperature or closer to room temperature. And then you would bake it according to the recipe instructions. You just might want to go a few minutes longer because the sweet potatoes aren't starting out warm and recently boiled, but it's not going to make that huge of a difference. Okay, back to assuming that you are assembling and then baking it right away. Once those sweet potatoes are fork tender and cooked, you're draining them and then put them back into that pot. And you want to use like an egg beater, or you could have transferred them into a stand mixer and use the bowl of the stand mixer, and you want to beat the sweet potatoes or mash them in there. And then to that, you're adding 1 cup of that low-fat vanilla yogurt. I'm just going to say you don't want to use a Greek yogurt here. You don't want that extra tanginess. You want a more mellow, creamy flavored yogurt. You know what I mean? Okay, so you add the yogurt, some cinnamon, a little bit of nutmeg, and some salt, and you beat that some more. Now, at this point, I advise that you give it a taste and see if it's sweet enough for you. If you really like that really sweet potato, then you might want to add a little bit more brown sugar, 1 tablespoon at a time to taste. Just don't forget you are adding some marshmallows to the top of this later, so there's going to be a little bit of added sweetness from that. So if it's just a little under how sweet you like it, that might actually be perfect. Okay, once you're satisfied with that sweetness, you are beating in some eggs. Now, you can go with 2 large whole eggs, or you can go with 4 large egg whites. Give them a little beat before you add them, and then beat them into the sweet potato mixture. Once the eggs are incorporated, you transfer that to your prepared casserole dish, and then you bake it for 30 minutes. Then take it out, and you're going to top it evenly with some chopped pecans and a few marshmallows. This is another way that I lighten this dish up, is I don't just use a full marshmallow topping. I have the pecans in there. If you wanted to, you can just go straight marshmallows all across the top, or you could skip the marshmallows and do the pecans. Or I really like, there's a mixture for this like oat crumble that I use in these cranberry bars and pumpkin bars. I'm going to be telling you about them soon. I like to use that mixture with some pecans in it sprinkled over top. That is delicious as well. I will link to those bars so you can get that crumb mixture. Any of those options are perfect. So then once you've added that topping, it goes back into the oven just until the marshmallows are puffed and lightly browned. You want to keep your eye on it because if they get too dark, they get a little bitter and they get a little crunchy. You want them to stay soft. It's going to be about 10 more minutes and then you serve. Now I'm going to let you know that I have this little email course sort of thing about Thanksgiving. It's free. It's just a whole bunch of tips and recipes and ways to make your Thanksgiving dinner way easier and way more delicious than ever. If you want to get that, Head to cookthestory.com/courses and you can sign up for it there. I know it is going to make your Thanksgiving dinner that much better. I'm going to put the link to the sweet potato casserole recipe in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and get it there. Everything there is arranged by date, so it's helpful to know that today is November 25th of 2024. Don't forget to go sign up for those Thanksgiving tips, cookthestory.com/courses. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, the all new chicken cookbook, and from this podcast recipe of the day. I hope you have a great day. Let's get cooking.